Once upon a time, in a small, quiet village surrounded by hills and forests, there lived a poor widow named Mama Tola. She lived in a tiny hut with her two children, Kemi and Tunde. Life was hard for them. They often went to bed hungry because they had no money to buy food. One evening, something magical happened that changed their lives forever. One day, Mama Tola went to the forest to gather firewood. She was tired and weak, but determined to find enough wood to sell at the market. While she was collecting sticks, she noticed an old woman sitting under a tree. The old woman looked frail and hungry. "Good evening, Mama," the old woman said in a soft voice. "Can you spare me some water? I am very thirsty." "You're welcome to Tedo's Folktale Studio. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more." Mama Tola looked at the little water she had in her gourd. It wasn't much, but she couldn't ignore the old woman's plea. She handed over the water and smiled. "Thank you, my dear," the old woman said after drinking. "You are kind-hearted. For your kindness, I want to give you a gift." From her bag, the old woman pulled out a small, shiny cooking pot. It didn't look special, just an ordinary pot. "This is no ordinary pot," the old woman said with a twinkle in her eye. "Whenever you say the words, 'Cook, pot, cook,' it will prepare the most delicious food you can imagine. But remember, it will only work for those who share the food with others. If you become selfish, the pot will stop working." Before Mama Tola could say a word, the old woman vanished, leaving her alone with the magical pot. When Mama Tola returned home, Kemi and Tunde were sitting outside, their stomachs rumbling with hunger. She placed the pot on the fire and decided to test it. She whispered, "Cook, pot, cook." To her amazement, steam rose from the pot, and soon it was filled with fluffy, white rice, tender chicken, and a rich, savory sauce. The aroma filled the tiny hut, making everyone's mouth water. Kemi and Tunde stared at the pot in disbelief. "Mama, where did you get this food?" Tunde asked. Mama Tola smiled. "A kind stranger gave me a magical pot. Let us eat and give thanks." They ate to their heart's content that night, and for the first time in months, they went to bed with full stomachs. The next morning, Mama Tola decided to test the old woman's advice. She invited her neighbors, who were also struggling to find food, to come and share a meal. YouTube subscribing is free. This is Tedo's Folktale Studio. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more interesting stories. She whispered the magic words. "Cook, pot, cook." This time, the pot prepared a feast of steaming yams, spicy stew, and fried plantains. The villagers were amazed when they saw the endless food coming from the small pot. They ate, laughed, and thanked Mama Tola for her kindness. Word spread quickly about Mama Tola's magical pot, and soon people from all over the village began visiting her house for food. Mama Tola was happy to share, and the pot never stopped working. But not everyone was happy for Mama Tola. Her neighbor, Auntie Bose, was a jealous and greedy woman. She wanted the magical pot for herself. One evening, when Mama Tola was out fetching water, Auntie Bose sneaked into her house and stole the pot. She ran back to her house, laughing to herself. "I will be rich. I will have all the food I want," Auntie Bose exclaimed. She placed the pot on the fire and shouted, "Cook, pot, cook." The pot began to boil, and soon it was filled with delicious food. But instead of sharing, Auntie Bose locked her doors and ate all the food by herself. The next day, when she tried to use the pot again, it didn't work. No matter how loudly she shouted, "Cook, pot, cook," the pot remained empty. Frustrated and angry, Auntie Bose threw the pot outside. Meanwhile, Mama Tola returned home. and realized the pot was missing. She was heartbroken, but didn't let it discourage her. She continued to gather firewood and help her neighbors in any way she could. One evening, the magical pot reappeared at Mama Tola's doorstep. A note was attached to it, saying, "You have proven to be kind and selfless. This pot belongs with you." Mama Tola hugged the pot and thanked the old woman silently. She placed it back on the fire and whispered, "Cook, pot, cook." Once again, the pot filled with delicious food. She invited the entire village to eat, even Auntie Bose. "Mama Tola," Auntie Bose said, ashamed, "I am sorry for taking your pot. I have learned my lesson." Mama Tola forgave her. Kindness and sharing are the true magic in life.
From that day on, Mama Tola and her magical pot brought joy to the village. They never went hungry again, and Mama Tola became known as the kindest woman in the land. The pot taught everyone an important lesson. Generosity brings more blessings than greed. And so the magical cooking pot continued to cook for all who needed it, and the village lived happily ever after.